moment aside to meditate. As the lights come down, I invite you to become comfortable in your chair and begin some slow, deep breaths, releasing any tension in your body, releasing any human concerns, clearing your mind space to make that direct connection with the divine within you. Meditation, going into the silence, becoming reflective is so important for our spiritual health and growth. Life is busy. It can cloud that relationship to the divine. And for now, we take the opportunity to just let it all go. Breathing deeply and slowly. We begin to feel and remember and nurture that divine presence. For we know in our heart of hearts that we are all children of God. We are all beautiful, loving, individual expressions of the Great Spirit, of that we know as God, Yahweh, or any other name we choose to give it. As we breathe slowly and deeply, we remember we are all connected. We are all one. We all come from that same source. Those sitting here beside you, in front of you, behind you, those at home, in our community, and all over this great, wondrous earth. We know we have a choice every day. A choice to express that divine spirit through the individuality which is each one of us. Now is the time. Now is the time to be the hands and the feet, the mouths, the ears and the eyes of God as love. Now is the time to take that step. Now is the time to be open to that message, that nudge that our Christ presence has placed within our heart, that still, quiet voice that becomes louder when we go into the silence, when we meditate, when our hearts are open. And as we move into that silent, reflective period, I invite you to listen ever so closely. What is yours and mine to do to be that divine presence that you were placed here to be. We are not Mother Teresa. We are not changers of the world every moment, but we have the opportunity to be. But we also have the opportunity to change our lives each day. One small step. Whether that's connecting with a prayer chaplain, whether that's reaching out to someone. That is for you. And as we enter into the silence, I ask you to affirm what it is that is yours to do today, now, for we need it ever so much. Father, Mother God, we affirm the sacred knowledge and belief and knowing that we are you here on this earth in this moment. We affirm our powerful ability to express your love through us, through that individual prism of our souls. We have a new choice every day we can make. We have compassion for ourselves. And yet we know what we are here to do. And at any moment, we can remember. We can nurture and reconnect with that divine presence within us and amplify that message of what is ours to do here now. And for this knowing, and for the choice, and for the opportunity, we are so deeply grateful. And together we say, Amen.
In this moment, I breathe the very essence of life. In this moment, I hear the still small voice inside. I open to wisdom and truth. In this moment, I know what is mine alone to do. I've gotta let love in.
Well, normally this woman needs no introduction, but some of you may be aware that Michael Gott was originally planning to speak today, but unfortunately his home was a victim of Hurricane Beryl, and he's not able to be with us. But as I read in the opening prayer, sometimes stuff happens, better stuff happens, and we don't know. But I'd say so far, we're on a roll. So, ladies and gentlemen, Kit Holmes.
Thank you. There we are. Good morning.
Good morning.
And sometimes things happen. I was telling Vicki this morning before the service and after we were rehearsing that I was just wrapping up my outline for my talk this morning, which was going to be lighthearted and stuff, because there's been some heaviness in the world a little bit. And just about the time I was finishing up, my partner Tricia got a phone call, and she said, "There's been a shooting." And my talk changed. And the thing about me is, because I am a person who is recovering from PTSD and early adverse experiences, my initial reaction when I hear something of anything of that kind of magnitude is I get really calm. I pull in and my brain kicks in, but it gets really calm. It's like, okay. As a minister and as a religious science practitioner, and my training and my spiritual practice for the last 25 plus years, that kicks in more often now, thankfully. And I immediately go to, okay, what is mine to do? Where can I see the God in this? I do all my training. I do all of this work. I do all my intellectualizing first. And when I think I get a handle on that and I calm down and I breathe and I do some things, then this starts to creep in, bubble up. I had already chosen the songs for this service earlier this week for that talk, and they fit. They always fit. Because letting love in, my word love is my same word that I use for God, interchangeable to me. So it is about letting God in to an extraordinary time, not just in our country, but, and I think I spoke about this the last couple of weeks that I was here, the incredible evolution that we are experiencing consciously. The evolution of our consciousness, the evolution of our spiritual DNA is shifting so radically in these times. And not just yesterday, and not just 4 years ago, and not just 8 years ago, and not just 50 years ago. But we have accelerated. It is accelerating whether we like it or not. And the thing is, in this teaching is, where do we ground first? I'm going to ask you to, and you can do this silently, you can shout it out if you want. Just be gentle in your shouting. One emotion, one word that you are feeling, and on the count of 3, we're going to say it to ourselves, we're going to say it out loud. Every emotion is valid. Every emotion is okay. Because I tell you what, I got a lot of them. And they're mixed. And they're human. And they're divine. So on the count of 3, and you can close your eyes too. I don't care how you do it. What I want you to do is get it out of your body, give it a name, acknowledge it, say it's okay. You ready? 1, 2, 3.
Fear.
I vacillate between terror, disbelief, anger, frustration, and deep, deep sadness. I highly recommend the grief group today. You might want to take over the entire fellowship hall. It might be necessary. And the thing is that this is where we do our work. As uncomfortable and as discombobulating, as frustrating and angering and sorrowful, and it's in our face. It is important, number one, that we feel the feels. Let ourselves be in grief. Let ourselves be in shock. Let ourselves be in this next level of, I thought it couldn't get any worse. I thought it couldn't go lower. I thought it could, whatever that is, this cumulative thing that is on the surface, and this is important. Our collective consciousness has been turning this and amplifying it, and the division and everything we see. It is chaos. It appears as chaos right now. It feels like chaos. But because so many of us have been doing our work for so long, not just the people in this room, not the shoulders on whom I stand today in new thought, in consciousness, that is also a part of the collective consciousness, of the intentional raising of the consciousness of humanity. And we are at this apex, this tipping point of the crumbling of the old that no longer works for us. The appearance is it works for a limited few, it being the institutions in this country in particular. And they do, and they have worked for a very small group of people for a very long time. But because we are doing our work in consciousness, and that's where it begins. It begins in our own consciousness. And the thing that I grappled with through the night, was my human stuff, and that very, very human stuff that wants to do more harm. Because I'm scared. Because I'm human. Because I want to survive. I know we all want to survive. We do not know what's coming. And when we don't as humans, boy oh boy. And we don't. But there is that within us that does. And that's what we tap into. It is not only letting love in, it is radiating the energetic, the consciousness of the very thing in the earth care. Reading that affirmation. Does somebody have a copy of that?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Our consciousness reveals that all of creation is connected as one. The appearances seem like we are pretty divided. Oh, I want to cuss so bad. Our consciousness reveals that all of creation is connected as one. As a people of faith, this is where, and I think I said this last week as well, this is where the rubber meets the road in our faith. We have to take an enormous leap of faith right now. To not get caught up in the whirlwind, in the cesspool. This is not the time to meet anger with anger, not the time to meet our fear with fear. Would it be a safe thing to say that when you're scared, you do some pretty wacky things? I know I do. Because guess what? We're human, and it's not just because it's not our personalities, it's our DNA. Our bodies shut off our brains when we get afraid to the very minimal thing that says, I got to stay alive. So all reason, all creativity, all compassion, or like, well, hey, I see they're chasing me with a gun, but I'm going to step up and say, I love you. It would take somebody with an incredible self-awareness and consciousness to be able to turn around and say, no, I don't want to die today. And to meet that person and say, I see the fear in your eyes, I see the woundedness in your eyes, I love you. We don't do that. Oh, how I wish we could. How I wish I could. I fantasize about that. What would I do in this situation if I walked down the street and you know? And I've shared with you before, I walk down the street with looking over my shoulder often because I am a member of the LGBTQ community. We go out to breakfast and you know the stares. Maybe you don't know the stares that you get from people. And some people are just oblivious and some people just hone right in and to feel the judgment. And so I fantasize, well, what would I say if they approached me? And I'm working on it. But in a moment of abject fear, we don't have any reasoning. And so it is our work to stay grounded enough and aware enough of our own divinity, our own divine selves, our own power, that we don't give our power away to somebody else because we're afraid of how they're going to judge us, or how they're going to see us, or how they're going to respond to us or react to us. It is being so grounded in knowing the Christ consciousness that exists in each one of us. It takes a whole lot more courage to meet that with love. But the thing is, when we do our work in that, when we can, in a moment of calm, step back and say, I see this wounded person in front of me. What awful experiences they must have had that has swirled them into such a thing of a walking hate bomb. Because that is all protective device. It is all offensive because it's all defensive. My friend Michael texted me this morning. I texted him early in the week when Libby texted me and said, I was planning on being here anyway because Michael God is a friend of mine. And I love him dearly, and he's a divine human being. And Libby texted and said, Hurricane Beryl did a number on his house. I don't know the extent of the damage. He doesn't focus on that. He focused on get the church open. I saw their Facebook post yesterday, Unity of Houston, and it just said, because if you don't know, there's still millions of people without power in Houston, and it is hot and it is humid, and people are dying in the heat. And the Unity of Houston Facebook page yesterday, all Michael said was, come to Unity of Houston today, we've got air conditioning. The doors are open. And so he texted me this morning. He says, "I'm sorry I didn't get back to you earlier this week. My hands were a little bit full." And he just said, "Give them heaven today, Rev." That was my intention overnight. That is my intention now. What is mine to do? I grappled, as I said, with the emotion of my very human self and my very, what I took a vow as a minister to be. To be of comfort, to be of service, to wrap you all in a big hug, let you feel your feels, and tell you it's okay. I had a few people on my almost on my speed dial last night of some other ministers. I wanted to send a message to all of them and say, God bless you all this morning with whatever it is you changed your sermon to. Bob asked me that this morning. He handed me the microphone. He said, I bet your talk changed from last night to this morning, didn't I? I said, sure did. I don't need to, but I can't emphasize enough the place that I have reached in my practice and in my life, that I can stand here not only because I have to, but because I choose to, as a minister and as a spiritual leader, to head first, deep diving even deeper into my practice, so that I'm going to say the word, so I don't lose my shit. It is not easy. But the thing that I keep coming back to again and again and again is that in these extraordinary times, we are all here. We are on this planet. We are alive. We are breathing, which means we have a part of this. We are a part of this. And there is something for us to do, even if it is to just hold somebody without trying to fix anything and just hold them and let them cry. Or sit across from them and just let them be angry. The most important thing, as I said, let yourself have the emotions. And the second part of that, do not let your emotions have you. Give yourself the 5-minute, 10-minute, 30-minute hissy fit. Say all the words. Let all of the tears. And I've done this before, just so you know. I'm not asking you to do something that I have not done myself. Where I have stood in my room, or I have paced around my living room by myself, by the way, nobody else in the house, shouting, letting the anger out of my body, letting the tears flow. And you know what usually happens when I've done that, and I'm doing the whole thing, and I'm from one end of the house to the other, and it's like letting everything out. Everyone that ever hurt me, anybody that I ever hurt, everything, I let the forgiveness, I let the anger, I let all of it out. And by the end of it, I'm usually walking around the house laughing at myself, because I was like, wow, that felt good. And what a silly, silly human I am. Everything is energy. We know that in this teaching. Everything is energy. And if it gets stuck anywhere, we are in dis-ease. We as a country and we as humanity have been diseased for all of the things that we've been nice about. I'm just saying it's okay, maybe spiritually bypassing a little bit. It's okay, it's going to work out. Yes, it is. It is working out. It is working out exactly as it is going to work out right now. The difference is we don't know what that is. But there is that within us that does. And where we put our consciousness, where we put our attention is where we get more of. So, let love in. Be gentle with yourself. Be as gentle as you can with others around you, to know that we are all really doing the best we know how. We can gather in our grief. We can gather, I'm not going to recommend, and I won't, we will not gather in anger or retribution or revenge, because we just get more of it. We gather on Sunday mornings and in small groups and in the grief group, we gather in love. So whatever that looks like from this day going forward, let love in. And then radiate it out as much as you can. And when all else feels like it's tipping sideways, ground in love and say, I am. I am an expression of the divine. I have the power in consciousness to shift my life, and that's the only place we can start, is within. I choose this day to show up, to be a demonstration of love. I choose this day to show up fully as the divine being that I am called to be. And it will look different for every single one of you. It might mean you go out and start registering people to vote. It might mean you start getting a little more educated about some things. So that information is really, really powerful. We know this. Education is powerful. Information is powerful. I'm going to share a couple of things that have been coming into my awareness lately, and you can hear it on the recording when this is, if you don't have note paper at the moment. But I absolutely recommend, if you have not seen it yet, a documentary called Bad Faith. There's also another one that came out in 2019, pre-COVID, called American Heretic. And Bishop Carlton Pearson, if you're not familiar with him, a very well-known evangelical minister for 40-some years, who woke up. There's a document, he's in the American Heretic documentary, but there's also another one just about him. It's called Any Given Sunday. It's not easy. Watched another one just the other night, brand new one with Melissa Etheridge, who her hometown is Leavenworth, Kansas, and she went into a women's prison to do a concert, and the work that music does to heal. And you begin to see patterns of trauma and abuse, the cyclic victimization. You get to see it throughout, unfortunately, the things that tie us most closely, or we think tie us most closely to God. It's not easy stuff. The work we are doing right now is not easy, and I do have faith that we are here to shift it. Take a deep breath with me, will you? I thanked Michael this morning for letting me know, and I was kind of going to share this last thing was tongue in cheek was, yeah, thanks a lot, Michael, for giving me this Sunday. I was going to sit where you're sitting this morning and enjoy the service. But I know, like he said to me in his text this morning, he knows that he's exactly where he's supposed to be. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. I am exactly where I am supposed to be. And we have work to do. We have a lot of work to do. And we can do it. Yes, we can. I love you all dearly. Thank you so much. Thank you, Libby, for asking me to be here today. Blessings and namaste.
Well, all right. Now is the time we consider our prosperity and sharing it with our church community. Hey, Bob, can you turn this one off? Thank you. It's time to share our financial gifts. And as children of a loving God, we live in the light of abundance. Deeply grateful for all that has been given and all that is to come, we embrace the good that God provides with joy and thanksgiving. Let us say our prosperity blessing together on the board together. Oh, wait. Ready? All right. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I choose my thoughts with wisdom and care, focusing on thoughts that bring prosperity into my life.
I'm doing the best that I can. The best that I can. What I got when I remember that God is my source. Boy,
while you're standing, I just want to invite you to do something. It's a trick that my wife taught my children and part of that subset. To take it off. Part of that deep breath thing, because that was a lot, and it was necessary. But we got to reset, and that song helped. Okay, all right, woo, all right. Well, that brings this wonderful service to a close. I'd like to welcome anybody here for the first time. If you're comfortable, we have some packets in the back that our ushers will gladly provide you. We have fellowship and refreshment at the other end of the church in the fellowship hall. We of course have our grief support group going on back there as well. We have prayer chaplains available for personal confidential prayer. There'll be one up here and one in the hallway. You'll identify them by some orange name tag. Now, as we always do, we close our service with prayer. Father, Mother God, we heard the message today. We heard it in song. We heard it in Kit's talk, in the meditation, in the prayers. And we heard it in our hearts. There is work to be done. And yes, we can do it. And we are brave and we are loving. We open up our hearts, our souls, our minds to embracing that challenge with love. We go from this place out into the world, taking that energy and that synergy that we've created, knowing we are not alone. We're not alone in our fear. We're not alone in our love. We're not alone in our belief that hope and kindness and compassion will carry the day, that in fact love does win. And we are the ones that take that out into the world. And for that, we are honored and grateful, and together we say, Amen. All right, let's join in our circle around the church. All right, let's spread out a little bit. I think we can connect. All right. An oldie but a goodie. All right, so what we do, and I invite you to do now, is call to mind a person, a circumstance, a situation that you wish to bring divine attention and prayer, lifting it to its highest good. And I invite you to speak that aloud into this circle if it's comfortable for you. And as those names and those people, those souls and circumstances are brought to mind for the highest good, we know that it may not be what we expect or want, but this or something better. And we consecrate these prayers and blessings with our prayer for protection. On the screen, let us say it together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Amen.